Hey Mav, it's Ken, and welcome everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Morning, Ken. Yes, I sure can.
Oh, perfect, perfect. I always get a little bit of nervousness trying to launch one of these Twitter spaces here, right?
It was a little touch and go. I was just about to message you. I got as far as, Ken, can you see? Going to be my co-host invite, but but we're all good.
Yeah, no, that problem wasn't mine. I'm getting old enough. I need glasses to be able to see the accept co-host invite link pop up. But welcome everybody. So and it looks like today it's no special guest. It's a rocket pool community call here, and the purest sense here. I guess Mav will have you for the call, and as well as Lingers too. Is that correct?
Hello. Yep, I'm here.
Oh, perfect, perfect. And I certainly encourage on this call for folks have questions to definitely just raise your hand, come up on there. But normally I put together a little bit of agenda, do a little bit of research on it. But today I was literally working to the last minute right before this thing, and I'm getting a little nervous here as I board a plane on Saturday to Argentina, and I don't think I'm quite packed yet, and I feel like there's 1,000 things to do, but. I thought on today's call we could spend a time talking on a few topics. Let me just run through those topics and see if anybody has suggestions to add more. But there was a little bit of I guess I don't know, I'd call it excitement, but a little bit of interest here on the balancer hack, and I guess. It was interesting to see what a lot of the responses to that were. So I wonder if we could spend a little bit of time talking about that and maybe understanding a little bit more about our ETH and the balancer exploit. Want to talk a little bit about Fusaka here for the node operators, right? That's coming up, right after Dev Connect here. And then, as always, maybe just an update on the Saturn One progress. I'm sure there's going to be a little bit of a talk and questions on that. And then, last but not least, I thought we could talk a little bit about Dev Connect since a lot of the team is going to be there, and there's a lot of staking content and interest, and especially trying to make it relevant for folks that won't be at Dev Connect, how they might be able to follow along virtually. But are there any other topics, Mav and Langers, that you want, or anybody here wants to come up and propose a couple more topics?
That's
I think we should
amazing.
just about do it.
Yeah, that's amazing from
Okay.
my side, Ken. Yeah, all good.
Okay. Well, let's start there, and folks can always add more, and I'll try to keep an eye on trading here as well too. For it, but let's start with the balancer exploit here, right? I've seen a couple of early postmortems there that talked about. I guess it was an interesting hack in that exploited a rounding error where they could loop a number of transactions, and I guess it would round down each time in the loop and create a value imbalance that the exploiter was able to then withdraw a disproportionate amount of funds from the balancer. I don't know if that's a fully accurate description, but maybe if Lingers, if you could maybe kind of explain that a little bit more. And what I'd be kind of curious on is, what was it like from your point of view, being one of the LST protocols? And were there any remediations that Rocket Pool could do? We saw some of the chains try to do some, I don't know, counterattacks or interventions or remediations, but what was it like from Rocket Pool?
Yeah, I think your summation is brilliant, Ken. So I don't need to go into any more of that. That's about right. Um, from our perspective, we kind of like first heard of it that the balancer reached out um, and said and gave us the news essentially, just to let us know what was going on, but also obviously to reach out to see if there was anything that we could help with. Um, Unfortunately, the trade-off for us is that we prioritize decentralization and permissionlessness and credible neutrality and all of that stuff that makes Ethereum a really great neutral platform. But that does mean that we effectively can't do anything because there's no control within rETH or the protocol itself really, unless we wouldn't we'd there's no control in the protocol to whitelist people or blacklist people. There's no whitelist or blacklist for the rETH token itself. We can't freeze funds. So although we've kind of like made that a trade-off, it sucks when something like this kind of like happens, and we definitely feel for the Balancer team in particular, but also everyone that's been affected by the loss of funds and that sort of thing. So although we kind of like feel for that, it's difficult because there is no ability to actually do that and do anything to help.
Interesting. And so let me just see if I understand this. So some of the maybe countermeasures where some people would blacklist an account holder, right? And in the Rocket Pool rETH contract, there's not a way to pick an address and then all of a sudden prevent them from moving their ERC20, the rETH token, right? There's not a way to blacklist somebody to prohibit their movement.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think probably the distinction there, the distinction that I've seen and the one that we kind of like stand on is if there was a blacklist within, or a freezing function within rETH, it means that not only could we do it in these cases where we would really love to help and smack down a black hat, those features could actually be used for foreign governments or court orders, or lots of there are lots of things, or even just powerful individuals paying lots of money, if you know what I mean. So having that feature is a dangerous thing, and that's why we don't have that feature.
Yeah. And then I saw another one had the ability to change the, another LST is kind of a countermeasure or interdiction here, had the ability to erase somebody's balance and mint new LST tokens kind of out of thin air and assign them to a new address. Does rETH have that? I mean, I guess they I don't even call it a feature because no sooner did they use it, they I think in their messaging said, "Well, we probably shouldn't have this ability, right? It kind of degrades the authenticity of the token." Does rETH have that ability?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
And it's pretty. It would be pretty horrific if we did. So no, and I'm glad that team recognised that they don't need it, or shouldn't. Or sorry, not don't need it, but shouldn't have it. I'm definitely glad that they recognise that. That's not a. So with rETH, the only way that rETH gets minted is when you deposit ETH into the Rocket Pool protocol. The only way that you get rETH back is by burning it for ETH out of the protocol. So I should just stick to the minting part. But the minting part, the only way that rETH gets minted is through the protocol, and you have to provide ETH to do that.
Okay, and then maybe just another question, because I'm sure there's a lot of people on the call that listen in that are rETH holders now, and I know the Balancer was maybe one of the major kind of market makers that were out there for the redemption of rETH back to ETH, right? And I know in kind of the Discord, we always look at either the premium or the discount. But any thoughts on how it's affected kind of the liquidity of individuals that want to redeem rETH for ETH? Did it have much of an impact? How did that play out?
Yeah, so I know that that rETH pools were affected. I don't believe it's affected the liquidity, by a huge amount. But it's taken a knock. The liquidity has taken a knock. But I don't think it's affected it a huge amount. The discount, The discount did spike. I think it went to like 0.5 or something like that I saw. The discount went to 0.5, but then we've got quite a lot of node operators sitting there waiting to exit arbitrage. So so there was a lot of that going on, I think, yesterday, and I think we were back down to like 0.1 or maybe even but at the 0.1 or something like that. Last time I checked, I've just woken up, so I haven't checked this morning.
Yeah, I had checked earlier, and there was a slight discount in the markets, but relatively small, less than a tenth of a percent. At least I looked, I think 0.019%, something like that. So, it seemed, I don't want to say quite on peg, but pretty close, right? I mean, it wasn't that large. I think it was maybe one of the better performing LSTs when I ran the query at some point. But yeah, interesting. And then any other things that I know there was I saw some messages from kind of Rock Solid that said no, they didn't have funds or investments through the balancer pools. They seem to be isolated from it. But for other folks that are rETH holders that maybe weren't directly affected to this, and my heart certainly goes out to them in this thing because it was a well-established protocol. It's quite shocking to see one with that many reviews and kind of maturity or aging, right? You usually get a higher level of confidence as the protocol ages, that if it hasn't been exploited, the chances of a future exploit are less. But this I think was certainly a little shocking in that regard. But are there any things that our ETH holders should be doing or not doing right now, based on this?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all have to acknowledge that DeFi is risky. It is still early days. It's an emerging kind of technology. I think sometimes we do forget that. So it is definitely risky. But at the same time, we are building the future. Everything like this makes makes the whole ecosystem harder. And we, everyone learns from this opportunity. We're taking it upon ourselves to review all of our incident management stuff and all this sort of thing. So it is we've already got that in place, but we're just kind of not reviewing it. But all of these things does make the ecosystem better in a way, more harder, I would say. So I mean, Balancer definitely was shocking, and we definitely took it hard as well. Like everyone else in the ecosystem, I think it's. But we do have to acknowledge there are risks, and that they don't completely go away, and they just get less likely.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely a bitter lesson learned, strong wake up call. But yeah, the best we can do right now is just learn from it, understand what the exploit was, and make certain that we review code to make certain we don't have similar susceptibilities to it, right? So yeah. Okay, any other comments on the balancer exploit before we move to Fusaka here?
No, I think that's good.
Okay. So Fusaka, right? For those that don't know, living under a rock here, the next hard fork of Ethereum is coming up. Last I saw, it was December 3rd, although I saw something posted in trading. I guess it was from Christine Kim that said, well, wait a minute, mate, there might be some node or some client teams that aren't ready. And I was like, what? Are you joking, right? I thought we've been planning this for a while now. But what are you thinking? What are you hearing? Is Fusaka on? I saw some positive emails, and what does that mean for Rocket Pool and the node operators? When's the next smart node release that's Fusaka ready? Tell me what you know.
That's a great question. So yeah, I'm basically in the same boat as you, in the sense that we heard that stuff from Christine about the ACD call. So yeah, we have to kind of like wait and see what happens in terms of that. I mean, we'll still kind of like prepare for as if it was happening on the 3rd of December. Fornex is all over the kind of like client updates to make sure that he's kind of integrating those as soon as possible. Yeah, and so we'll definitely flag that as early as we can, and do some proper protocol announcement and that sort of, and release announcements about when those client updates are ready. From a testing perspective, we're kind of like working on testnet, because obviously it's released to Hoodie, so it's just getting that a bit of a test. We don't foresee any issues because there wasn't much in Fusaka from our perspective, but we'll do finish off that testing, and then so really it's just kind of like waiting for those client releases to drop, which is the never-ending Spornex never-ending life, is waiting for client teams to all line up, and MEV boost and all of that sort of stuff, to kind of all line up and be ready at the same time. I'm not sure if it's just me. I can't hear Ken.
Yeah, no Ken for me. Let me drop him a quick message.
I think I'm back, but I don't hear anybody else. Now, do I hear you?
You are back. Hey, Ken.
Oh, I'm back. Oh, sorry about that. I lost internet connection here, and I had to rejoin here, but I think I'm back for it. So I'm sorry, Langers. I missed the last part. You were just saying that you're actively keeping a track of it, or Fornax is, and so far we think we're going to get the client updates in time for the December 3rd launch. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a waiting loop, and it's a constant game of waiting for the client teams to all line up, and be ready at the same time. So Fornex is all over that, and we'll definitely communicate that out to people once we get the full complement of client releases and MEV boost and all that sort of thing, to make sure that we have a Fusaka ready smart node launch, smart node package.
Yeah, and I had seen a post. I'd forgotten about MEV-Boost. I think about the execution and the consensus layer and the validator clients, right? There's kind of three big buckets you have to keep track of, and I totally forgot about MEV-Boost. So I'm glad you mentioned that one. Yeah, and I guess for the node operators, maybe just walk us through a little bit of it. I know we went through the test net with Hoodie, but so the only thing, I guess it's important that node operators pay attention to this, right? Because if you miss the fork, you're on the wrong chain, and your node is basically going to be in all intensive purposes offline, right? But and so I guess the key thing is the node operator should just be paying attention to Discord, looking for the Fusaka ready smart node update. But now, tell me a little bit. I know that they're changing kind of the blob space. They're doing the kind of I forget the name of it, but the sharding of it, right, of the blob space, right, pure DOS, and and so it's going to, maybe for some of the smaller node operators, it's going to lessen the space requirements, but for maybe the medium size or I don't know what number it kind of converts over on. They need bigger space. What are we thinking for node operators? Do they need to do anything besides just update the software? Like, are they recommended to prune? Should we be moving away from 2 terabyte hard drives? Anything that the node operators need to know besides just update the clients?
Yeah, I mean, when we looked, I haven't looked at all scales at the moment. I've kind of like looked at like um, mainly just looked at kind of like how it affects like one validator. There is actually like a tool that we can put out to kind of help node operators with this. The size increase looked kind of like modest, but if you're already running quite close to the wire and with like a 2 terabyte drive, upgrading to a 4 is probably worthwhile. But I think it basically means I think on a 2 terabyte drive you're probably resyncing every now and again anyway. I think it means that you'll have to resync probably more often. So I think a 4 terabyte drive is probably worthwhile. I think probably one of the surprising things that we saw with this tool was that bandwidth for it's like for like proposing blocks is going to increase a lot. So it really, I mean, most people probably use MEV Boost now, but if you're proposing blocks, if you were as a network, if proposing blocks yourself, the bandwidth actually goes up very will go up over time. So internet connections will kind of like be saturated. As I said, most people are using MEV Boost anyway. So from a builder, they're offsetting that with the builder network. So that's okay, I guess. But that was interesting that going forward, building your own blocks may well not be possible in like the next few months and years or so.
Yeah, I think I had seen maybe a similar tool if it's the one from Panda Ops, and yeah, I don't. It's interesting just taking a step back for a second about maybe the centralization pressures, right? Like, it's getting harder and harder to be a solo operator or home node operator just because now the bandwidth requirements are more. I mean, I'm less concerned about the 4 terabyte because technology has improved, and I think 4 terabyte SSDs or NVMEs right now are cheaper than my 2 terabyte I bought when Rocket Pool launched, 4 years ago, right? So, that's a relatively, minor cost. I get it's still an expense that cuts into the earnings and so forth, but it still very much enables so home operators. But the internet is a challenge. I was very fortunate. I just got fiber a couple months ago and was so excited. I helped the technician actually pull the cable through the street in the conduits. I don't think he's ever seen a customer so excited to get fiber before. But I just was so tired of my very low bandwidth cable modem before. So it's a huge shift to have high speed internet at home. So but yeah, okay. So I guess just node operators should do a little bit, and yeah, it would be great if maybe I don't know if the team could just put out that calculator or just share a little checklist, like what can a node operator do in the couple of weeks that remain to kind of prepare for Fusaka. Like what should they do? Should they prune? Should they update the client? Should they test their bandwidth? And I guess obviously pay attention at the fork just to make certain it goes good. But yeah, it would be helpful to provide a little bit of spoon-fed instruction to our node operators, I think.
Yeah, we'll definitely send it out. Actually, when I'm looking at it again, the um, the disk usage actually goes down. So I'll send it out so that everyone can kind of like have a look. But in fact, the disk usage actually goes down with Fusaka rather than up by quite a considerable amount. So that might actually be good. It's just, as I said, the bandwidth for producing blocks goes up. But it looks like unless you are staking unless you're staking over 2,000 ETH, it looks like you're going to actually probably going to get a reduction in this space.
Excellent.
So I'll send it around so that everyone can interpret it the same way. So might be interpreted wrong.
Yeah.
But I'll send it. I'll send it around. Actually, I'll dump it in trading now, and then maybe we'll put it out as like a technical announcement or something.
Yeah, and we could even tell people they should probably, count their number of mini pools, and if they're going to convert in Saturn, double it. So if they're using the calculator, they should probably put twice as many validators.
That's true.
Kind of encourage them to adopt mega pools and so forth. But no, I think that would be pretty good. And I don't know, this one just seems a little different. Like there's maybe more changing for the node operators. Sometimes these forks are just run the correct version of the client and enjoy the ETH staker live stream and enjoy the fork. But this one sort of seems like, oh, maybe there's a little bit more to this one that we should be paying attention to. Maybe I'm wrong in that, and it actually gets more easier to become a home validator. But it just seems like we should be paying a little more attention to this one for some reason. I'm not exactly certain why, but that's my sense. Okay, so maybe anything else on Fusaka, or can we start talking more about Saturn 1 here?
No, let's do Saturn. Go for it.
Okay, yeah, Saturn here. So last we talked, you had all the audits there. I guess you were waiting a little bit to release the code and that sort of stuff there, but maybe give us an update on that and tell us what your confidence is for January 19th, 2026. What are we looking at? What's left to do? How are you feeling?
No, I'm feeling pretty good. So Balsec so we've been actually doing the fix checks for Balsec recently. So I'm pretty sure Kane has finished all of those. Pretty much finished all of those now, and he's handed back like a response to Balsec. Balsec are going to go through their resolution round, so their fixed checking, and so that's kind of like going on at the moment. So we've handed that over, and they'll start their resolution round. We are so that's pretty good. That's probably a little bit behind where I wanted it to be, but we're still good in terms of the in terms of that. They may come back and do a little bit more auditing in a few weeks' time, but it depends on how well they go through this resolution round. So we do need to kind of like nail down what's going to happen there. That still probably looks quite good, as long as there's like no major issue. Like there's not at this point of the audit, there's not going to be any like massive changes. They're all going to be like smaller changes, but as long as they're not too substantial, we can that should be fine for the timeline as well. But that was more like a capacity thing to try to make sure because the thing is, because this release is so big, the audits were so big, like the resolution rounds are bigger than some of the auditors expect. So that's why they're kind of like having to come back for that a little bit later. But yeah, so I'm still really confident on the current date. We've got, as I said, we're wrapping up. They're going through that resolution round. and we'll work with them on that. At the same time, Fornax and Thomas are working on the DevNet 5. So, you know, all of the changes that Kane has made to align with the recommendations from auditors, they're now in a branch. So Fornax and Thomas are just adjusting the code based on that. So there's a few kind of like big things that they're just adjusting, but they're getting through that really well. And Nick is Nick is persevering with the DevNet setup. So I think we've tried one way of doing it, which was kind of like what we thought was going to be the quickest and easiest way of doing it, and it ended up not being the quickest and easiest way. But it ended up being a pain in the ass, to be honest. So we're still kind of like we're figuring out what the best way of getting this DevNet up and running is. But I think we've learned a lot in that whole process. So I think Nick's a lot more confident on which way we're going to go now. So so we're setting that DevNet up. As I said, Fornax and Thomas are using those DevNets to test out the changes, and then once we've finished testing those out and making sure that they're code complete and all that sort of thing, then and also the infrastructure is settled, then we can launch DevNet 5. I'm hoping we can launch DevNet 5 before we go to Dev Connect next week, and that should be some pretty good timing in terms of the timelines and that sort of thing.
Okay, interesting. And then, the other thing you had mentioned maybe last time is kind of an explainer, as you said. Saturn 1 changes a lot, maybe even more than even what I'm kind of understanding and have questions on. But what are some of your thoughts about either getting an explainer or doing maybe an in-depth call to really understand some stuff? Like, seeing some questions about staked RPL. If you have mini pools right now and you have your node wallet and you have RPL staked, do you have to unstake it? Do you have to exit all your mini pools to unstake it? Do you have to restake it in a new staking contract for mega pools? Is mega pools RPL, is that the same? What's the sequence? Many of us have formed validators, but few of us have actually exited, and the differences between exited and withdrawn and distributed or dispersed, right? And like I feel like we kind of need a primer or a how-to manual or some type of some type of explainer for this, because these are some steps that many of our node operators have never done, and and maybe are a little confused about what we do and what we shouldn't be doing right now.
Yeah, and that's perfectly understandable. Whenever we do a release, we pretty much always do like a Medium article on, like, from a node operator perspective. So making sure that as you said, kind of like a primer to walk node operators through what to expect in the next release. And so that's definitely something that we'll work on probably when we get back from Dev Connect, but we can kind of put that out, and then that we can get that out probably before December, maybe, or something like that. So we'll get that out, way ahead of the launch, obviously, but with enough time for people to kind of like digest, understand, and ask questions along the way.
Yeah, perfect. Okay. And maybe we talk a little bit. Next topic might be on Dev Connect, but before we get there, anything on Saturn that we didn't cover that you feel is important for the community to know? Anything that came up between here and there? And I'm sorry if I cut out earlier if I asked you the date about. Are we still looking at a launch of January 19th? Is that still a go?
Yeah, that's still good for now. That's all the stuff still points towards that. So lock down these audits. Obviously, the other thing about the audits here, once Balsec's finished, which actually now if they're coming back, it might mean that we're a little bit delayed on getting the reports out, but I'll see what I can do in terms of, yeah, that makes it a little bit more complicated. I need to review how we're going to launch the audit reports. I need to decide whether we do like an intermediate launch of the audit reports before they come back, or after they come back. So let me deal with that. But essentially, at some point between now and way before the launch, we will be releasing the audit report. So that's kind of like a key aspect of that as well.
Okay, and then also part of that is changing over the contracts in Immunify so the community can participate in the audit bounty.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
As well. That happens all at the same time. We'll do that all at the same time.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Yeah, so it sounds like we, if Nick has a little bit of fortune here, we might get a play of again with some validators on DevNet 5. I think on DevNet 4, I'm still waiting waiting for mine to get through the beacon exit chain queue there. So
yeah, that's why
I quite haven't experienced Saturn even on the test net. So
I know
it's all unknown to me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the big issue that we've had with Hoodie, and that's why we have to move to this DevNet. We have to do something. So that's why we're moving to the DevNet so that we can move a lot faster, and that it'll be fantastic. But we just need to kind of like get over this hurdle, and then we'll be good.
Yeah, maybe. Well, maybe we'll bring it up here, I guess. But anything else on Saturn 1? I'm kind of excited to go talk about DevConnect now.
No, that's good.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about DevConnect, because one of the things I was thinking. I mean, certainly I've got a ton of questions for the team here as we get kind of excited, a little nervous. I'm hopping on a plane on Saturday. I'm going to go down with my wife, and just like David Hoffman, we're gonna go to Patagonia and see the beautiful national park down there and experience a little bit of that before we immerse ourselves in crypto land and DevConnect and all that it offers. But maybe tell me a little bit about the team and the team's plans. I know there's a number of conferences coming up. What are some of the things you guys are looking forward to and highlights, and kind of what are your plans down there?
Yeah, that's unfortunately, we're not going to be doing anything as as wonderful as you guys, because unfortunately we've got to get back and deliver Saturn. So we're just there for that. What is it? 8 days, 9 days, something like that. Anyway.
Wow.
10 days.
Way to fly for 9 days.
10 days.
Yeah.
So I know we'll enjoy BA. I don't think we're going to be going outside BA, unfortunately, but we will obviously. So I think the plan is we fly in and we obviously settle in. There's Mav is locking down the date for like the kind of like Rocket Pool social event. There's a couple of dates that he's kind of got in mind, and we may well do like a bit of a combined thing with Rock Solid as well, and so so they'll be at the thing as well, and so we'll figure out, but we'll be at the events, so we'll be at ETH Saker Gathering. I've got a talk at ETH Saker Gathering, and I'll also be on a panel, I think, with Rock Solid. So that's the panel. I think it might be at the Staking Summit. I'll have to check that.
Yeah, I guess,
Yeah,
I guess, I guess, I guess. Let's start maybe on the weekend. It's the staking
yeah,
summit, right? It's a 2-day
yeah.
conference. I don't know if that's going to be live streamed or broadcast. Maybe people can kind of help. This is where I'm still in Patagonia, so I haven't been paying attention to it, and I feel pretty bad because I've attended that now. I think twice, right? Both in Istanbul and both in Thailand, and it was just excellent, excellent content from there. Um, but yeah, you guys are going to be out there, and I guess any thoughts from that one? It always seemed that that one was I don't know why I think about it, but more suits, right? It seemed like it was more business, tradfi, professional, multi-chain staking. I don't know, but what are your kind of hopes for that from that conference?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely staking focused. As you said, there is kind of like um, there is a bit more of a overlap um, with the kind of like trad fi space, or well, the I'd say more the enterprisey space a little bit. Um, so yeah, I mean, we're looking forward to that. As you said, there's usually some really good speakers. Everyone in the staking space is there, and so it's usually a good event. And then it's very similar with like the staking ETH staker gathering as well. Everyone's there. Um, they usually put on really good speakers. Obviously, a bit more ETH focused, which is definitely a good thing for us in particular. So so yeah, the event should be those two events should be really good. They're like the main events, I guess, for us. Then we have the Dev Connect kind of sprawl that's going to be, or like in the big is it the rural? Um, and so yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this event is put together.
Yeah, yeah, because it sort of goes, over the weekend is the staking summit, right? And then Monday, I guess we're all going to experience for the first time kind of the World's Fair version of Dev Connect, right? For those unfamiliar, Dev Connect has always been just like a side event meeting, right? Maybe there's a co-working hub or something that the EF puts together where you check in on. But honestly, in the Dev Connects I've gone to, I just really didn't spend much time in the co-working hub. Walk through it, saw it, said hi to some folks I know, but really you were in the side events every day, right? Like you never really reported to the central hub, unlike DevCon where you're all in the same central hub, 5 days a week, right? And it's kind of like a big epicenter. But this one, it sounds like they're trying to do a little mixture where on Monday they just have a whole bunch of protocols kind of there, and it seemed like it'd probably be an excellent opportunity to do some networking and business development because you had major protocols having kind of like centralized booths or whatever where you can meet with them. I think maybe it was intended for, I don't want to say newbies, but folks that just hadn't explored these areas of either social interaction or DeFi or art or whatever the components were. But it did seem like it was probably an excellent, because everybody's going to be there, and they're going to do a number of keynotes. And the one thing I'm hearing from multiple sources is, the attendance numbers are again, surprising them. And yeah, I think they're going to have Vitalik do his 30-minute update on Ethereum and a number of keynote speakers that are just all the A-list speakers. But I think the venue that they do it only seats 3,000, and so I think it's going to be like Thailand, like you gotta get in line an hour early, and if you're not first in the gate in the 15 minutes it opens, if it's anything like Thailand, it just the room fills to capacity just way too fast, and so then you're stuck watching it on big screens outside. So definitely on that Monday, set the alarms and try to get there. And if you guys, for folks listening that aren't coming, you'll actually probably have a really good seat just watching it live stream, right? Because you're going to be a front row camera. But for everybody else, if you have any hope of getting in, I think it's a get there early. Don't be late on that one, right?
Yeah, you definitely want to see those kind of like headliners. They're really good.
Yeah.
And then there's like so many. I mean, being Dev Connect, there are so many side events. Um, the list that Mav sent through was huge. And he said, "Yeah, sign up to all of these." Okay. But there's like, I think there's like 20 that we've signed up to. Was have to kind of like see where all of them sit and like figure out which ones we're gonna go to, and that sort of thing. Um, but some of them look really interesting, and that sort of thing. So yeah, and it's always good to. I mean, you do see kind of like the same people at the conferences, which is nice. I mean, you get to catch
Yeah.
up with those people, but then you always meet a good bunch of new people as well. So yeah, I think it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. We've been so heads down that I haven't really even had chance to kind of like look up and realize that Dev Connect is so close. um, but it's yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it now.
Yeah, no, it is. It is a lot of excitement, and yeah, I know exactly what you mean. The number of side events, and I quite literally have like a really long Google document with, the preferred option and then the backup option, and you kind of have to spend a whole bunch of time planning it. And I keep telling myself I'm going to be a little bit more due diligent, treat it like a work trip, really try to work it quite a bit. Unfortunately, in Thailand, I think we all got kind of excited by the programmable cryptography demonstrations of frog crypto. And all of a sudden, we found that whatever plan we had to listen to whatever talks was quickly destroyed by that kind of interactive experience, and a lot of fun, but derailed a lot of learning really fast there. But then, yeah, there's you mentioned also the e-staker gathering. I did learn from Jonathan that that is going to be live streamed, so everybody who can't make it there in person, again, you'll have just the same information. They've published the schedule. It looks excellent. Everything that especially a independent node operator or home validator wants to hear from both core devs and the EFs, some core client teams. Obviously, I think I've seen Rocket Pool on the speakers list, right? Some other LSTs that are on there. So it really seemed like just an excellent lineup of content. So I think I'm probably most excited about that one, kind of like you guys are. But then there was another one. I don't know if it's on your list. It's on Thursday there. That's the ETH Client Summit, right? I think they're bringing all the client teams together for a talk. Have you guys, is that on your list, or is everything you're looking at just business development, or kind of what are some of the things, some of the other kind of non-staking ones that the team might be looking at? And are you going to get to do anything that's just for your own enjoyment, right? Explore some other part of Ethereum that you haven't explored before.
I was just checking the list. I think we've got things like the Cypherpunk Congress was one that's on there. Yield Innovation Summit, that's kind of like about yield bearing tokens and that sort of thing. DeFi Rails. Um, there's one called Hype Pop-Ups. I don't know what that one is actually. It's got free coffee, so I'm probably there. Uh, then there's like a Nethermind security one, which looks quite good. Adoption Con, Shelling Point, which is usually quite interesting. Their approach to things is usually quite interesting. And then obviously the ETH Global Happy Hour. So that's definitely something we'll be partaking.
Yeah, yeah, excellent, excellent. Okay, well, yeah, we should definitely compare notes. And then you mentioned a little bit, I'm still trying to lock down the date of the Rocket Pool gathering or meetup. We've always enjoyed those. A little kind of informal get together to talk to other node operators or LST holders or anybody who's interested in Rocket Pool. But any how will the folks that are going to be down there? How will we be noticed of where that gets set up? I know it's it'll probably be a little closer once things get locked down. But how would we hear about it?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to lock it down this week so that we've got plenty of time to inform people. But the how we'll let everybody know is in that conferences channel. We may also do like a bit of an announcement next week, just to say that we're going to be there. If Mav's already done a bit of an announcement, then sorry, Mav. But maybe we'll do like a bit of an announcement beginning next week to let everybody know like some of the places that we'll be and about the social stuff.
Yeah, that'd be good. And then the one other thing, I know you guys have just been super busy with Saturn and the audits and everything, but the growing space that I think we first heard about maybe I can't remember where it was. Maybe it was maybe it was Thailand, and then certainly in ETH Denver, it was like just a cornerstone of the Biddle Week site events was the whole concept of pre-confirmations, right? And a lot in Fusaka. There's a couple of EIPs coming in Fusaka that are actually designed to improve the pre-confirmation market and actually have confirmed commitments of validators and so forth and the epoch ahead. But will the team be attending any of the MEV meetups or any of the pre-confirmation side of it?
Yeah. There's like a MEV Day thing that we're signed up to at the moment. So I think we'll probably do. Yeah, there's a MEV meetup that we're going to be going to. So that's definitely on there. Pre-confirmations we haven't at the moment, but I think we might reach out to. I to be honest, Mav's kind of like curated our stuff for us. But we can have a look and see whether there's a pre-comps thing there as well.
Yeah, no, I'm laughing just because it is a full-time job trying to figure it out, and I don't know if it's just the cycle of these meetings or this one in particular, but I'm used to kind of planning ahead and doing it. But it seemed like every team was announcing their site event kind of last minute, so this last week has been absolutely kind of crazy with the number of site events and trying to figure out where to go. And as you're kind of indicating, you can't be everywhere, so you have to just kind of come up with a strategy and a plan and try to figure out what you miss and where you're going to get that information afterwards, because that's the whole thing. You got to kind of get as much and communicate with as much people, otherwise otherwise you can get really lost in this space really quick. So yeah, no, that's Mav, I appreciate everything you're doing there to keep the team organized, man. Good luck with that one. And then you guys head home afterwards, and hopefully you guys will have a little chance to do something fun. I always was trying to encourage Dave to, I know it's hard kind of with the sequencing and timing of stuff, but I always thought, well, you guys should do a little bit of, just team building or something like that, and do a river raft or, something down there to just, kind of enjoy it a little bit. But it sounds like you guys are just as excited about Dev Connect as many of the attendees are.
A river raft sounds like a fantastic idea. I think that from a protocol risk perspective, it's probably not the best. But we did enjoy the tubing that we did at ETH Denver. That was definitely fun.
Yeah.
But the river rafting we'll have to see. Maybe not all of us in the same boat. But
yeah. Trading isn't like
no, that's right. Yeah.
Risk.
The RP team they should go out into the rainforest and just go trekking. That's right.
Yeah, there's one of those
Survival.
indigenous tribes that has never had contact before, so yeah. Yeah, yeah. Well, excellent, excellent. Any other things here? I'm very excited not only to be down there, but to meet other node operators, and of course, spend a little bit of time with the team here talking about Ethereum. And it's if you've never gone to one of these crypto conferences, you think you would get bored talking about this space, but turns out you could probably talk for all day for 10 days straight and still not cover everything. So it is always something I look forward to. But any other things from the team over just anything? Because this will probably be our last community call before we're in Argentina. I know Mav is trying to find a kind of a time and a place where we could do, like we normally try to do, a little bit of a live community call from there. But anything that we haven't covered yet?
Yeah, I mean, actually, after this call, the team have got like a bit of a workshop on the rETH liquidity stuff. So that'll be good. We're trying to keep the momentum going in terms of, locking in what we're doing for the next release. But yeah, so that should be fun, and trying to figure out how that's gonna work. Um, but yeah, that's probably about it. Yeah, really looking forward to DevConnect. Really looking forward to meeting up IRL with some of the community members. Um, yeah, really. Yeah, it's been fun chatting. As you said, there's so much going on in Ethereum, but in Rocket Pool, in Rocket Pool, we could spend all day talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and then Mav, you've been pretty quiet on the call in the back here, but anything that is important from your point of view that we haven't talked about?
The main thing for me would be just a little bit more context around DevConnect, specifically the community event. So we have had a kind of initial informal poll running in the conferences channel to get a feel for when people are arriving in the country. And the people that have responded to that, we've given a Dev Connect role. And as it was kind of alluded to before, I will be putting out a ping to lock down exactly when this event will take place. So either keep an eye out for that, or if you're listening to the call and you don't have that role in Discord, feel free to ping me in trading or send me a message. We'll get you added to that role. And like we've done in previous events, we'll use that to coordinate as we go along. So, yeah, looking forward to seeing everyone there. And hopefully, for those of us flying out from Australia and the like, the jet lag is not too bad because it's going to be a busy week and a bit, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I'm hoping your routing isn't that you have to fly to North America to get to South America. Hopefully, you have a little bit better routing.
Not quite, but that did look like one of the options. Would have run to, I think, 36 hours total travel time for the
Ugh.
Australians. But yeah, I think we managed to get that down to around 24. So still not great, but could be worse.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I was thinking, I don't know if they fly, up here we fly over the North Pole to get to Europe. Maybe you guys could fly over the South Pole to get to South America. I don't know, but yeah, not something we're looking forward to. But it seems like it's going to be a wonderful host country. I know a lot of people there already for the Edge events and the pre-conference stuff, and just lots of really neat things coming out of there. So I think it's going to be great. So. Yeah, well, it's been an absolute pleasure to spend some time with you to chat. I've been trying to keep an eye on trading here. I don't think I heard any questions. I didn't see anybody raising their hands, but I guess maybe before we sign off, let me just pause for a second and see if anybody has questions that we haven't covered about here. Well, I'm not seeing any, but I'll certainly do my best to try to provide commentary in one of the channels of anything that I find interesting at DevConnect. I'm usually taking a lot of notes and trying to digest and learn a lot of stuff. But yeah, if anybody's going down there, please keep chatting. It's usually such a big event that you kind of need other people to share what they're seeing and experiencing, and from their kind of pathway through the conference. And yeah, and for those that are watching virtually, like I said, a lot of times you've got a better view and might be able to tell us there, because a lot of times we're just in the back of a really big room with a couple thousand other people between us and the speaker, and so we may not always get all the great content. And you end up having to watch it anyhow. But I'm excited, so I'm gonna sign us off here and start packing my bags, and I'll be on a plane as early as Saturday. So it's great spending time with both you, Mav and Langers.
Great to speak to you, Ken. Looking forward to catching up again.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ken. See you soon.
All right. See y'all. I'll keep chatting you and trading until Saturday. All right.
See ya, guys.
Bye.
Cheers, everybody.
See ya.